Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoe, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. But need OG to keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, Bitcoin getting the drop down to our next key zone of support, sitting between $85,000 and $82,500. We warned about this level potentially coming in, guys. I didn't want it to come in, but here we are sitting at that exact level. Are we finally going to get some relief to come into the market, or are we just going to continue melting to the downside? I'm going to cover it all in tonight's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here on this beautiful Friday night. We are going to be doing giveaways at the end of the stream, so stick around till the end of the stream if you want a chance to win some free USDT. We do it every Friday here, so shout out to you guys. Welcome in. We got let's see. We got K Diggity in the chat, or at the real K Diggity. Don't fall for the scammers, guys. Shout out to K Diggity. Welcome in. We got our mods in the chat. We got Jesse, Tyler Durden, Chemistry Bro, Rob the Crypto Snob. I think everybody knows who they are. Show them some love in the chat. Shout out to Div X-Ray. Said, Frankie, I'm cooked. Destroyed. Shout out to Div X-Ray. What happened, brother? What happened? Are you talking spot bags or are you talking leverage trades? Please melt to the downside. Shout out to Div X-Ray. Well, we're going to take a look at that. Let me know what happened, Div. Was it a short? Was it a long? Is it your spot bags that you're worried about? Let me know, Div, and I'll try to give you some insight, maybe some words of encouragement, or I don't know. But shout out to Div X-Ray. Welcome in. Good to see you in here. We got Crypto Paisa in the chat. Said, come on, Mafia, smash that like button. Guys, we're going for 550 likes on tonight's live stream. Let's run it up. I think we could do it. Mad Ads, welcome in. Thanks again for all those memberships last night. And thank you for tuning back in tonight. Welcome in. We got More Timer in the chat. We got everybody here. We got Amina. We got Darius. We got Panda the Prophet. We got everybody hanging out in here. In all cash now, sold everything. Shout out to Div X-Ray. At a massive loss? Is that what you're saying? You sold everything at a massive loss? Let me know. Let me know. I'll try to give you some insight there, brother. XRP was always trash. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. But anyway, guys, we got a lot to look at here on the charts. Let's go BTC 200K. Shout out to Felix. Well, we are far away off. Oh, my God, it's an earthquake, guys. We are far away off 200K, but I'll give you guys my thought process here. What are we looking at higher time frame? What are we looking at lower time frame? Is this support going to hold? We're going to break it all down in tonight's live stream. So thank you all for tuning in, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Yo, Mad Ads with another 10 Frankie Candles gifted memberships. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Mad Ads. Thank you for doing that, bro. You're super generous, brother. I appreciate that. Shout out to everybody that got a free membership. These memberships are not cheap, guys, so drop some love in the chat for Mad Ads. Let's go, baby. Shout out to you, Frankie. Hey, shout out to Mosha. Not shout out to me. Shout out to you. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump on in here. Shorting CEC like crazy. Sui almost at $1. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in, guys. Now, obviously, if you've been tuning into the live streams recently, you will know that we were approaching a very, very key level of support that we had right down here. I'm going to mark all these levels off. Actually, I will keep the spider lines on as well. Shout out to who said it? TDK. I think TDK. I don't know if you're in here right now, but in the premium Discord, he was talking about, can you show us the beauty of those spider lines? And as you guys can see here, obviously, our spider line coming in here at about $81,563 in confluence with all these other key levels of support. Let me go ahead and hide these upper levels just so we don't get super confused here. But obviously, guys, we had the daily MPOCs, the weekly MPOCs, I believe a daily horizontal, as well as our 786 Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high. And last night, let me zoom in here so I can get that wick, bada boom. And last night, as we were looking at our approach here towards this key level of support, and I will mark this off with a blue box so you guys can just get it as a simple zone. You guys know that we were coming down to this level yesterday, and we talked about the probabilities of this being the low being very small, right? We did front run the 786, right? We also front ran all these other key levels of support to the downside. Very unlikely to front run these levels and then get a massive pump to the upside. Of course, we did get a little bounce with a rollover here as expected into that 786 and obviously deeper into this zone of support. And we even covered this. I talked about this earlier today as well, but let me just go ahead and hide this golden pocket real quick. We did talk about, well, actually, I'll pull this back up. Once we come down to this golden pocket macro value area low, right? If we cannot hold that golden pocket, where's the next place for price to likely go? Well, many reasons to be looking down towards this $85,000 to $82,000 level. Number one, you lose that golden pocket. Can't get back above it. The next likely place for price to go is going to be that 786, of course, confluent with all those key levels. And then, of course, as we looked at here, looking at the volume profile, hide the spider line here real quick. As we pull up our visible range volume profile, you guys can see we did have this low volume gap here, not only saying that, we could come down to the 786, or the move down to the 786 would be very likely, but we also did expect this to be somewhat of a fast drop down. Fast moves up can equal fast moves down, and on top of that, you just have no horizontal levels in here, right? So when you look at this just from a horizontal level of support and resistance perspective, it's like, well, hey, if we can't hold it up here, right, which we did have other horizontal levels that I've now deleted because they're tapped. But if we can't hold this next level, high volume node, we had all those horizontal levels, the golden pocket, the value area low, the CME gap, etc. But if we can't hold that, right, like there's not much underneath us giving us that fast drop down into our next key level, right? So like when you look at this, it's just like, well, where's the next significant key level of horizontal support? Well, it's sitting down there between $85,000 and $82,000. And well, what do you know? We are sitting right there. It's not magic, guys. It's called technical analysis. And of course, right, I'm not going to cover this too much, but, we've been pretty concerned up here for quite some time after we lost that $108,000 value area low. Value area high, rather, right? Once we lose this level, things start to look very sketchy. We have the 2-day money flow coming out pretty aggressively. It's now crossed over into the red, indicating our overall downtrend will continue. A lot of people did not want to hear that we were coming down here, and little did they know we had lower targets down at about $85,000. So, money flow obviously keeping us on the right sides of those trades. Money flow crosses red. The anticipation is to put in lackluster bounces. People say, oh my God, Bitcoin is mooning. This is bullish. But from a high time frame perspective, obviously all your money flow is coming out here, even like on the 8-hour, but especially on the daily. Mark off that money flow crossover, right? This is making you anticipate. We use this money flow as a filter, letting you know whether you should be looking to fade those highs to ride the continuation of the trend, or if you should be looking for massive bounces for new all-time highs. And ever since we lost this value area high, guys, it was very hard to build out a case where we would just launch into all-time highs. Once you lose that value area low, you're expecting a full fill of that range, and money flow was obviously in agreement there on the daily, on the 2-day, on the 3-day. 4-day is still trying to work its way down here. The 4-day is just kind of doing its own thing. I don't know if the 4-day money flow has been taking a day off. It is coming down. It's just lagging behind the 3-day. But for the most part, all these higher time frames, 2-day, 3-day, 5-day crossed over into the red, 6-day about to cross over into the red, and our weekly money flow is also starting to come out here as well, all giving us the anticipation of a continuation down. And the question is, if we do get a bounce here, what can we expect? I'm just going to show it. I'm going to shoot you straight here, guys. All this money flow coming out does keep my bias here for lower highs and lower lows to come. And we'll talk about some of those key levels of resistance. If we do get a bounce here, how high can we go? I just want to, again, manage expectations like we did here at the value area low, like we did here on the front run of the 786. I am not necessarily going to expect this to be the low before new all-time highs. If you are hoping for, all of this money flow to just not mean anything, if you want the timing of the cycles to not mean anything, and you are looking for moves to the upside, just so you're aware, obviously, it's not impossible, but I would say this is probably the last level where we can look at this to come in, right? Because when you look at your Fibonacci retracements, you can pull from your low to your high. We talked about this yesterday. Not all Fibonacci retracements are created equal. Yes, this does technically give you an area to look for a potential bounce for a higher low and a higher high, but with our money flow coming out, it does make the opportunity to put in a higher high much lower probability, but at the end of the day, it is support, so we can get bounces. But overall, I will be anticipating lower highs and lower lows to come in on those higher time frames. So just to keep everybody kind of like vigilant if we see these pumps up, like you could see it be pretty significant, right? If we got to pump up to 103K, which does bring us very close to our 50-week moving average, right? Another big bearish sign that we've covered many a times. It all lined up here, right? Not only were we getting accepted into the value area high, but you're also at risk of losing that 50-week moving average, which of course we have now done. We've closed our weekly candle below it. So, you know, unless we can get back up here over the weekend and close a weekly candle above this 50-week moving average, I am going to remain bearish, right? This could indicate that the overall macro trend is continuing down, right? This has been our support here within this bull market. We tapped it, massive new high. We tapped it, massive new high. We tapped it, massive new high. All expected here based off the timing of the cycles and money flow and the rest of the analysis. But as we approach this late in the cycle, we were very concerned, right? Because if we started closing the weekly candle below this 50-week moving average this late in the cycle, it has previously indicated that the bear market was to follow. But the hope here is to get some kind of a retracement. If we could push into that 103K level, we have never been able to break back above it. So even if we do get a big pump to the upside, just to keep everybody kind of vigilant there, like I mentioned, you know, you could see this big pump, right? You could see that big pump into 103K and still remain bearish. And at the end of the day, you could even come a little bit higher than that. We still have massive resistance ahead. So my overall longer-term bias here, guys, is still going to remain bearish. I hate to say it. I don't want to say that. But until we see something completely change here, like, yes, even a massive push up to 103K would not make me think, oh, my God, we're pumping. This is bullish. You know, unless we have signs on Market Cypher B and we have other forms of analysis that could point towards higher prices, which it could be the case, I'm going to remain very, very cautious here with the longs and going to see if we can catch a short on the retracements to the upside to be much more greedy with the shorts to the downside. And again, right, like this golden pocket with money flow coming out is not the same thing as hitting a golden pocket 786 with money flow coming up. So yes, it is support. Yes, you can get the bounce, but overall with money flow, I do see it very likely playing out very similar, or it is looking like it is playing out very similar to the 2021 top. Now, not that it has to play out exactly the same, right? But we did wind up coming down to that 786. We lost it a little bit. We got back above, back below. Did wind up putting in higher lows, higher highs. But at the end of the day, that was just a bearish retracement into the 103K 50-week moving average before a much bigger drop down into the bear market. So it's all I'm going to cover here on the higher time frames, guys. I think most people kind of understand my stance here. And again, like all those bearish signs were forming up much higher, right? But people don't really want to accept that, you know, this is very bearish, right? And they just want it to bounce. They want it to bounce. But I will say, if we're going to get some kind of significant bounce, and even if you are looking for new all-time highs, I would say, like, this is your last chance to do it. Once we lose this 786, it is very likely, in my opinion, that we will crack this low here at about $74,500, which obviously will then be breaking your macro market structure, which is, of course, just an additional bearish confirmation, right? Let's see. Shout out to TJ. Thank you for being here, bro. Thank you for the super chat. He says, I only hit the button there. Thank you for the super chat. Said, isn't all that liquidity above us, not below? Actually, we will take a look at the liquidation heat maps. Just because we have overall bias of a continuation down doesn't mean you can't come and sweep out that liquidity. Again, like when you look at this from just a simple standpoint here, right? If you're looking for a macro lower high, you could potentially push all the way up here into $108,000. This is also, just to point this out, right? Doesn't mean you can't come sweep all that liquidity, right? Again, support, we're hoping for a bounce here, right? And it is definitely possible. We're at support. This is not a place to look for fresh shorts, obviously. But when we look at this, right? Let me pull up our macro volume profile here real quick, right? So, and let me just hide some of this stuff so it's nice and simple for you guys, right? Here's your macro volume profile, right? Biggest level of resistance. And again, I can't promise you're going to get a push all the way up to 108K, but even if we did, right? Where's your full golden pocket retracement? It's sitting here right on our value area high. So, you know, I don't know exactly how this is going to play out. For all I know, right? We might not even be able to make it back up here. But if we did, just to give you context, if you go for that full golden pocket retracement, this is still an area. Golden pocket 786, technically leading up to about 116K. This would be the area where you could still put in a macro lower high, high, low, lower high, lower low, right? This is the higher probability scenario based off the charts, right? Does that mean it's impossible to do something like this? Not impossible, right? Just lower probability with the way money flow looks, and I've showed the similarities between 2021 so many times. Hopefully that's clear, right? But, even if you got that bigger retracement into 108K, I'll just be viewing this as a volume profile, get above the value area low, flip the POC, push into the value area high. That is the next macro level of resistance. And we have tons of resistance before that, right? I can't guarantee you're going to get that full retracement. And to kind of show you what that looked like in 2021, my sentiment would be exactly the same here, right? Hey guys, macro 786. We probably had some other major levels of support here. We could get the bounce, but money flow is all coming out here, indicating a lower high and a lower low, not a low high, higher low, higher high. Right? The higher probability was to see this happen. And of course, looking for price to push into that 50-week moving average, this is a major level to break back above, but we couldn't do it. Right? This is 103K in our current price action. So that is a big level we have to pay attention to, because if we look at it from the full Fibonacci from the high to the low, you could argue, well, hey, technically you could still push all the way up into this golden pocket 786 for a macro lower high, but there's no guarantee that you can get up there, right? Sometimes you can reject those bigger levels a little bit lower down, right? So this whole situation, right, like key level of resistance number 1, 50-week moving average, key level of resistance number 2, golden pocket 786, and by the way, this was also a local golden pocket 786, right? So you don't know. You know that the lower highs and the lower lows are likely to come in on your Fibonacci retracements, but you're not 100% sure if you're not guaranteed to get the full retracement, right? So when we look at the current price action, this looks like the same situation, right? It's like, okay, well, when we look at our prices here, I'll even take off the volume profile. It's like, there's the full golden pocket retracement, but let's pull some local, pull it from the lower high to the low, right? You still have a golden pocket retracement right here. So I don't know if we do get the bigger retracement, I don't know if the lower high is going to come in here, or we don't know if it's going to come in on that full golden pocket retracement. But just to give you an idea of like how extreme you could come up and still remain bearish, right? And it doesn't mean remain bearish and get wrecked, right? Like that's not always the case. I think people are like they take a very black and white view of it, right? At the end of the day, if we start getting above $112,000 and money flow is flipping super bullish, right, and it all is turning around, maybe we can entertain the fact that we could put in a new all-time high before the end of the year or going into 2026. But all I'm bringing to your attention is that this is much lower probability. Not impossible, just much lower probability. Just like in 2021, putting a higher low in here is not impossible. It's a Fibonacci retracement. It's not impossible to do this, but it was much lower probability. So those two big levels of resistance is going to be the 50-week moving average, currently sitting at about 102.6 on that golden pocket retracement, right? So major resistance here, right? And then if you get above that, you're just going to pull back into this much larger level of resistance, right? So like these are two areas where the lower highs can come in at. I just can't guarantee you're going to get this full push up. But if you do, it doesn't just mean, oh, you're above the 50-week moving average, send it to $1 million. It would definitely look a lot better. This is the first sign of strength that I would like to see, is getting back above that 50-week moving average, preferably if we can do it before the weekly candle closure on Sunday. It looks like a Hail Mary, guys. Like maybe we get some kind of massive pump over the weekend. I'm not against it. I just think it's lower probability to get the close up here on Sunday. But if we did, right, it would start to look a little bit better. But you're not completely out of the woods. It's kind of the first sign of strength. But you still have to come up and battle these bigger levels, sitting at about 110 and then 116K. And when we take a look at the liquidation heat maps, I'll pull up a, let me pull up the 6-month real quick. Come on, you can do it. We do have all that liquidity sitting here above 116K, right? Now, locally, we have a ton of liquidity above, but again, that could just be assisting. That doesn't change my overall long-term bias, right? In order for my long-term bias to flip for new all-time highs, we got to get above all this, right? It's like at the end of the day, it's really like I feel real good about 110K, but at the you could still wind up getting the resistance here, sweep out that liquidity, and get the bigger move down. So you have a lot of work to do here to anticipate all-time highs. It looks like the lower probability scenario. I'm not against it happening, but again, I just want to prepare you guys, like, because I see this, right? Especially on these big drops down. I think like everybody is just, you have all this bullish, all these like bullish posts out there. Like, don't, it just seems like, I think it's kind of split, right? Like people obviously feel bearish here, but, based off the sentiment that we see here in the live streams, in the comments, all that stuff, like almost every lower target we have here, people hated on these targets, right? But the TA is pointing that way. I don't care what the sentiment is. I don't care what the crowd thinks. We're always going to listen to the to the charts, right? And like even recently in the live stream, it's like every bounce that we get here, it's like people are like, oh my God, we're mooning. And it's like, you got to zoom out, right? Like sure, on the 5-minute chart or the 10-minute chart, like, oh my God, we're pumping. This is great, right? But at the end of the day, it does not change that higher time frame perspective. And if people are getting excited about these small bounces to the upside, which by the way, we did long this, of 5%, I just want to kind of have everyone prepared. Like even if we see a push, right? That was a 5% push and people are feeling that. If we get a push of 27%, especially if it's aggressive and you start squeezing shorts and it's a fast pump, people are going to be really excited about that. But it does not change the long-term scenario. So that's my thought process, right? Now, obviously, we are coming into the key support, $80,000 range. This is our local volume profile that I will be paying attention to, guys. At this point, I want to see a reclaim of the 786. If we get that, I will be looking for a push up into the value area high at 88,500. I am interested in shorts at this level, or at least some kind of a rejection. Just in this super bearish scenario, guys, like you have to understand that like this market has not given pretty much anybody a chance to take a short, right? Last short setup in the Discord was up here at 107.4. Perfect setup, perfect confirmations. And since then, right, it's just been a complete meltdown, like very small retracements to the upside. So when you kind of like put that on the higher time frames, it's like there's no guarantee that you're going to come up to that full golden pocket retracement. You have to watch these lower levels, the $103,000 50-week moving average, and many resistance levels that we have below as well. But again, like just if we do see the big pump, I just want everyone to be aware. It's like that would not necessarily, I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be better than not getting this, but it doesn't just mean that, you know, we're definitely going into all-time highs. And hopefully if we get up here, I hope that the money flow is all turning around. I hope everything looks super bullish. But I just have to say it is definitely looking lower probability. Just like when we talked about getting down to our macro value area low, I tried to front run, you know, what my sentiment would probably be here if we got down there. And, you know, when you look at the money flow, it just looked very likely that if we did get accepted into that profile, that, you know, we'd have to say, well, chances are if we get down to that value area low, we're not looking for massive bounces. And the reason for that is because look at your money flow is just crossed into the red. This could indicate, especially the 3-day just crossed into the red. The 6-day is about to cross into the red. This could indicate the start of a massive downtrend, right? Just compare it to 2021, right? Like all these money flow crossovers, you don't get 6-day money flow crossovers very often. It basically indicates the bull market starting and the bear market starting, right? And when we, you know, big green wave through the entire bear market, once you see that 6-day money flow crossover, the top is in, you retest the 50-week, and you send it back down, right? It's the same thing here. Massive green wave, bull market, not oftentimes that you see this come out, right? And you might say, well, what about this? Well, this is a totally different time. Why? Well, I'll give you the information, right? Strictly based off the charts. This is not just, I felt bullish down here. It's a totally different situation, right? Let me hide the macro range real quick in the 80K range, right? Down here, this is a much different situation. Number one, timing perspective, you have a little bit left, little time left in the cycle to put in a new all-time high. And on top of that, you're not dealing with the bearish condition of being way down below that 50-week moving average. As a matter of fact, if we got stuck underneath this 50-week moving average back here, we would have been like, well, now this looks really bad. This money flow is probably going to cross red. But we didn't. We held it. On this approach to the zero line, we are way below that 50-week moving average, meaning that any kind of retracement is very unlikely to be a fake out for new all-time highs and much more likely to give you the lower high and the lower low. So I'm just going to leave that there. It can change. And if it changes, I'll come up here and update you guys. But hopefully that kind of puts into perspective, because I know sometimes money flow can come out and then come back up. But just to kind of show you guys that like this was a different scenario. We were not below the 50-week moving average. We are pretty far below here, right? Currently 20% below that 50-week moving average. And again, like this is a big, big, big warning sign for much more downside to come. So different scenario. That's why this money flow coming out is not treated the same as this money flow coming out. And, you know, bring up the timing of the cycle, etc., the bearish divergences, all that good stuff, all lines up as well. So I pray that we can get the bigger move up. But back to the local price action. Local range here, value area low, sitting at about $80,837. And you can see, get into the range, POC, lose the POC, come down to the low. We did get some local bullish divergences down here on the lower time frames into the value area low. This happened at like 7:15 a.m. You get the little bounce into the POC. If we can hold on top of this point of control and flip the 786, next target locally will be 85,561. That's your first big level of resistance. So that's the range I'm going to be looking at. Now, if we come back down and deviate below this range, guys, the only levels that I can find here are going to be this weekly MPOC at $78,550. And We have the $80,000 psychological level. I won't even mark it. Well, I guess I will mark it out. Bada boom, right? 80K and 78,500. So maybe if we did get a deviation back down below, potential longs, but it's really only going to be in the context of this overall volume profile, right? I know it sounds all doom and gloom, guys, but, I mean, we're at support. This is the place where we would hope we can get the retracement. If we lose these levels, I mean, especially if we lose 80K, it's really not looking good. But I would hope, right? Like, hopefully we don't have to melt down in a straight line. We've gotten the retracements in the past. Hopefully we can see something similar happen. And, of course, on the falling Bitcoin dominance, if we can get that to come in, maybe the altcoins see a little bit of relief as well. That's something I'm going to be paying close attention to. But, when it comes to the chart, right, we have to prepare ourselves before we see things play out. So that's what we're looking at. $88,500 is the next big level. Value area high. It's oftentimes where we're looking for shorts. If we can break out of there, the next levels I'll look at is we'll just pull up our horizontal levels, right? We have the $96,000 NPOCs sitting right here. So let's say we do get the bounce, right? We start breaking out of the profile. We start to get some relief to the upside. This would be level number 2, right? Big level number 2 at $96,000 to $97,000. If we can get above that, maybe we get the bigger retracement into the 50-week moving average, and then we'll cross this bridge if and when we get there. It's not until we get above here where it starts to look a little bit better, but of course, still not amazing, right? Because what happens if you hold that $103,000 50-week moving average and continue up? What's the next level of resistance? Well, pull up that macro range, right? You have the value area high just above you. Again, for me to really start feeling good, we got to get back up here above 112K. This monthly MPOC at about 111.5. We can flip that. It looks a little bit better to come approach the highs again. But until then, massive volume profile above, massive confluences, right? I'll just draw this out so you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at, right? So already showed the local levels. If we do continue up, obviously the value area low at 91.5 is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. But if we get back up there, 95.1 to 96.7, I would actually drag this up to about 97K. And then if you can get above that, could be pushing into that 50-week moving average zone, right? And if I hide the volume profile, right, you can just see that's where the significant horizontals are, right? There was nothing here indicating a fast move down to our next key level, right? Is that clear? Hopefully that's clear. Right, we covered this. There's nothing here, right? The next level to look at is down here. What happens? Fast move down. Fast move up, fast move down through that low volume gap that we showed before. So, yeah, like if we get a significant retracement, big level, 96K, get above that, 50-week moving average, and then, if we get above that, we'll reassess the situation and see what things look like. So there you go. I'm going to come back in a chat in just 2 seconds here, or actually right now. Is it too late in the cycle to get a new high again? Shout out to Book of Crypto. There's nothing saying that it's impossible, right? But it's just like when you look historically, it just looks very unlikely, right? So it's like I would never say it's impossible. But again, we've shown this chart so many times. Having to the top 528 days, having to the top 546 days, having to the top 531 days, we were very clearly, we talked about this before we even put in the last all-time high, right? Like you are approaching near where you would think that cycle is ending. So from a timing perspective, you would say we're getting a little too late in the cycle to put in a new all-time high. Does that mean it's impossible? Not necessarily. But again, instead of just saying like, oh, I'm just going to hope for an all-time high, keep an eye on those key levels, right? Like in order to even entertain the idea, right? Like there's no reason to even talk about new all-time highs until we wind up getting back above the 50-week moving average, right? And then even there, sure, there's other levels of resistance, but it's like, there's no reason to expect that if we're still below this, right? So take it step by step. So I would say, yeah, 4-year cycle timing would say it's probably too late. But again, this could be the first cycle where we say, oh, that was where we kind of bing-bonged around, and then early 2026, we made a new all-time high. But it's just never happened. It's not expected. It's definitely lower probability. And even if the cycle wasn't calling for that, we would still be looking at all these bearish confirmations on the chart, money flow coming out, massive bearish divergences, everything we've covered here forever is still there, indicating more downside, right? So I just definitely lower probability. I can't say it's impossible. It's just never happened before. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. Max pain scenario for the Bulls and the Bears. Shout out to Eddie. I don't know if you're talking about like the most brutal, like if we go into a full bear market, we could be headed down towards the 30s. Too soon to call for that just now. Of course, there is a situation where maybe this bear market is a little less intense. We don't have any euphoria. There's going to be less panic selling. Maybe institutions help prop it up. Maybe money printing comes in sooner than later. So there's reason to maybe not expect that full 70-ish percent, 80% drop. But yeah, I mean, like as bear market, right? Like if you see a traditional drawdown of what we would expect in a cycle, it would be bringing you down towards about $30,000, which is confluent with our value area low of our macro range right here, right? So that would make sense. But there are places where we can bounce beforehand. But that would be kind of max pain for, in my opinion. It doesn't mean you can't go lower, but I would look at that as like kind of the traditional scenario for a bear market. But if you're talking more locally, I mean, imagine this, guys. Imagine if you get the full golden pocket 786 retracement only to put in a lower high, right? This would be absolutely brutal and catch a ton of people off sides. So let's pull that fib. All right, from a Fibonacci standpoint, you could technically retrace all the way to the 786 while still putting in a lower high and a lower low. This would get bulls massively excited, right? Oh my God, 45% pump. Holy cow, new all-time highs incoming. And this would be getting everybody super bullish, only if it does, right, only to turn around and come down, right? That would be max pain for the bulls, in my opinion, right? Because like anyone who's like panic selling, they're going to be like, oh my God, I did it wrong. I got to buy back in. And then they're just going to get absolutely smacked. And then there obviously is a case where maybe they're right? And they do get the push up. Again, lower probability based off of all the things I just went over. So that would be like very painful, right? It's like, oh my God, bullish, bullish, bullish. Terrible, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't really see myself as a bull or a bear, right? I just see myself as a trader and an analyst, right? So it's like, I'm always a Bitcoin bull long term, right? As always, you know, you buy the top of every cycle, you hold it long enough, you're going to be in profit. Not that that's the best strategy, but you know, I don't really consider myself a bull or a bear. But probably a lot of people would call me like a mega bear right now. But the only reason that's the case is because of the way the charts look, right? And even if the charts don't call for a move up and we got to push into new all-time highs, it's like that's just what we need to see, right? Like it's like, okay, well, I guess the charts are wrong and let's send it back up. But again, it's like a lot of people thought that was going to happen up here. Charts were pointing the opposite direction. Our bias is lower. People thought we would bounce here. Our anticipation was lower. People think you're going to bounce the 50-week moving average. You get a bounce, right? But again, the money flow pointing towards the continuation down, right? So the charts are more often than not going to keep you on the right side of those trades. So that's just why I listen to it. Doesn't mean they can't be wrong, but they're just way more right than they are wrong. So that would be super, super painful, I think, in my opinion. I think the max pain for the bears is probably more of a situation like more of like a bear market situation, right? Or, I mean, I guess max pain for the bears would be if you get, I don't know. It really depends on the kind of context that you're looking at. But I think that's a really painful situation for a lot of people, right? And then at the end of the day, who knows, right? When you take a look at 2021 with our first drop of 50%, and then we come up to sweep the highs once again, you guys all know that I was in the camp that this was the all-time high in 2021. This was a dead cat bounce to sweep the highs and still send us into a bear market. Maybe we see something like that, right? Like, again, lower probability, but if we did wind up getting above these levels and you start flipping that 786, you have to look for new all-time highs. Is it going to be a massive new all-time high? I hope so. But what it could also be is just something like that, right? Sweep the highs again and then send it down. Very similar to what happened here. Again, not really my anticipation as of right now, but if we get back above that 50-week moving average and start breaking those Fibonacci retracements, that could be something that comes in. And again, you know, maybe it goes into all-time highs. But, you know, again, we're very far away from there. It's like, we're good for all-time highs if we flip this, right? Not really. We're good for all-time highs if we flip this, right? I'd feel a lot better, but not technically until you get above that 786. So again, it's like to see the massive new all-time high, it's like it's kind of just got to happen, right? There's nothing on the charts pointing towards that. Unless something changes in that price action. It's the same exact thing as when we looked at this massive range, right? It's like, hey guys, like I hate to be the guy to say this, but if we get down to 91 to 92K, I don't really see money flow. Like if I have to predict what money flow will look like, it's going to still look bearish, which is going to keep me looking for lower prices. If something looked different here and it looks massively bullish, I'll be the first person to let you know, but it just wasn't there. So we look for lower, right? It'll be the same thing on the way up, right? It's like, if we get up here and money flow is still coming out, it looks like that lower high is going to come in, I'm still going to be looking for it. If it looks totally different, I'll say it looks different. I just think there's a low probability of it looking much different up there. We'll see. 102K is what I'm hoping for. Shout out to Mads. I hope so. That would be nice. At least a little bit of relief. Shout out to Cardano is the future. Said we're already a year in. I think we're going into the bear. I mean, it would make a lot of sense, right? Like the argument for the bear case here is easy to make, right? It's really the argument for a massive new all-time high to come in. It's just like, I know it goes against what everybody wants, right? But it's like really hard for me to come up with a scenario on the charts that points towards that, right? And it's not my choice, right? I mean, I could come up here and be like, don't worry about it, right? Guys, don't worry. Like, this time's different. I don't know why it's different, but let's just look for all-time highs because we're bullish, right? Like, I don't know why I would say that. So it's just really hard for me to argue that to be the case. But once, if it presents itself, I'll talk about it, right? I don't have a bias. Like, when I come in on these live streams, I'm not like, all right, I'm going to say I'm bearish today. I just come in here and live present the charts to you and narrate them. So easy case to assume that, traditionally 2026 would be expected to be a bear market year. You filled out timing-wise almost perfectly what you would expect a 4-year cycle to be. And, I just think a lot of people are caught offside here on the altcoins, and a lot of people are just hoping for that one last push up. I just don't know if it's going to happen, or at least it's not on the charts. The hope is for the retracement, Bitcoin dominance falls, and you can get some kind of a rotational alt season to happen on a big retracement, which, by the way, we would hope is coming in at this level. We start breaking down below these lows, guys, like the retracement gets harder and harder to look for. Like, this is the moment. Not for all-time highs, but for at least some kind of retracement. Hopefully all-time highs. Shout out to Lucia, said, Frankie, what if the weekly closed below the 100-week, which is at the 786 fib? 2 only happened once in 2014, and back then no retracement happened. 2014 is the only time where we didn't get a significant retracement into the 50-week. We did get a slight retracement, but we never got that full move up, right? Again, it's not guaranteed. But let me pull up the 100-week real quick. So we get the 50-week on the chart right now. Let's come in here. Turn on the 100, right? I mean, here we are, right? We are tapping it. I mean, it's definitely, again, a key level of support. It's just like a more confluence that this is support, right? So, I'm not saying, again, this is not a place to look for a short. Like, if you are not short now, you've missed the opportunity, unfortunately. I mean, you can catch a local entry, but, like, this is not a place where I'd be like, oh, let's short support, right? We would expect, hopefully, some kind of bounce and then looking to short those lower highs on the green candles, not on the red candles. I am never shorting for a breakout, right? I'm not going to short here and hope that we just melt down through here. Could happen, but that's not a place where I would take a trade, right? If anything, we would hope for some kind of a bounce. I just don't know if it's going to be lackluster for just a meltdown or if it's going to be some kind of a significant retracement. But these are big levels of support, the last levels of support, the one place where you would hope the last chance for that big retracement to come in is. Moment of truth, guys. Moment of truth. So, and then we can pull up the 200 as well, which sits all the way down here at about 55K, right? So it's like lose the 100. I mean, lose the 50, 100's next, lose this. And again, it doesn't have to be a straight shot, but like that's your next big moving average here down at 55K. So, breaking this, if we hold this, sure. I mean, you're still below resistance. If we lose this, I mean, it's just not looking good, right? So shout out to Lucia. Hopefully that helps you out, brother. Short to bounce. It's easy. Don't complicate it. Yeah, shout out to Hopium Copium for the most part. Fade the highs. Money flow is money flow is a filter to let you know if you should be fading the highs, fading the highs, fading the highs, or if you should be looking for massive rips to the upside. This is definitely saying fade the highs, fade the highs, fade the highs, right? And all of these last significant retracements, we all had short setups in the premium. I took all of them except for the last chance to go short before that big move down. So again, like for me personally to catch a short, I'm just in a position where I got to sit on my hands and wait for some kind of a retracement and then fade those highs. 100%. Shout out to Hopium Copium. Long everything. Yeah, I mean, listen, maybe for a retracement. I wouldn't make it that clear cut, but shout out to Div, said the only reason any of you still in the market have a chance is because I sold everything and I have no luck. Shout out to Div X-Ray. It does feel like that sometimes. I felt like that before too, brother. Shout out to Baru. Says a lot of beef going on here. 85.2 invalidation, short squeeze to 88.500. I think if we can crack back above, I think 88.5 is that next local level for sure. Shout out to Mads. Said, hear me out. This time is different. Hopefully it is. Shout out to Mr. J. Said liquidity bullzooka wouldn't change anything. I don't know exactly what you mean by liquidity bullzooka. If you let me know, maybe it will change my mind if we can look at it. Shout out to Aziz. Said, Frankie, again, I made 100% on my long so far today using your fundamental fibs in today's SVC bounce. We'll rejoin the Mafia soon. Thanks. Shout out to Aziz. Let's go, baby. Congratulations. The Mafia makes money whether price goes up or down. I wish I was on the charts for that last setup in the premium, guys, or I'd have a nice fat short position to show you. But again, I'm not just going to FOMO in here to hold a position, right? Of course, when you're at support, looking for a bounce. Frankie, the 100 weekly is at 85.4. The 100 week is sitting right here at about 84K. Shout out to Base Bailey. Said, Frankie, can you and Golden buy all the Bitcoin and pump it? I'm going to hit up Golden, and we'll see if we can do a bulk buy. Can't lie, guys. Golden's probably going to make most of that move, if I'm being totally honest. We ain't at Golden's level yet, that's for sure. But, yeah, we'll try to get Golden to buy the dip. Let's see. Yeah, we will do some XRP analysis. Shout out to Sayamori. Says, after I did a very good profit around, I lost 75% of my profits. I don't feel good today. Shout out to Sayamori. You got to take the profits. You got to take the profits, especially in a if we are going into a bear market, guys. This is going to be hard to kind of shift your mindset to being very much more aggressively. It's like people keep talking about like, oh my God, the dip keeps dipping, right? Like that is kind of the moment where you have to start thinking about maybe shifting your mindset to not expecting the bounces that you're typically used to and more kind of flip it upside down, right? And expect the lackluster bounces to the upside, greedy with the shorts, conservative with the longs in a bear market, and greedy with the longs and conservative with the shorts in the bull markets, right? And of course, 2 weekly candle closures down here. There's many things you can look at to confirm the bear market, right? It doesn't matter what signals you get. There's always going to be a chance that you're going to get some kind of mega candle to the upside out of nowhere, but it doesn't mean it's high probability. So it's like, at this point, it's not looking good for the continuation of the bull market, in my personal opinion. But if 2 weekly candles is kind of something that we've looked at in the past to kind of confirm. It has confirmed in the past that you are in a bear market, right? You have your weekly candle closure, your weekly candle closure. Once you start closing multiple weeklies down there, it's like you lose it and you can't get back above. 2017, you hold it, you hold it, you hold it. You close 1 weekly candle, 2 weekly candles, you're down. Can't get back above it, bear market. So it's kind of hard, right? There's never just like one dot that pops up and it's like, that's guaranteed to be the bear market. There's absolutely zero chance of coming into new all-time highs. But you kind of just have to take all those evidence pieces, which the bear case has a laundry list of bearish confirmations. And the bullish case just kind of, I find myself like, I have to kind of just go for like, maybe this time is different. Is that something I'm going to make a decision off of? Absolutely not. But it could be wrong, right? It's a game of probabilities. But when the charts look like this, my probabilities are always going to be on the sides of the charts. It's not like we have 6 bullish confirmations and 6 bearish confirmations. It's more like the bearish list is like this, right? And then like the bullish case is like, maybe this time's different, right? Narrative. Maybe there's narrative. I don't really know what they would be, but whatever it is, it's like it's just never mattered in the past. So that's just what I base my decisions off of. And again, right, like I'm not totally out of the market yet. I still do hold some of my crypto, but on these retracements up, if things still look bad, I'm going to continue to dollar cost average out. Right? And then there's always a portion of my crypto that I will not sell, or Bitcoin that I will not sell. So if we go into new all-time highs, people will be like, you sold at the worst time. It's like, you have to understand I was buying in down here, right? It's not like I bought in here and I would be selling at a loss here, right? I'll still be able to enjoy some of those gains, but it's like I've already capitalized on a majority of these gains, which, by the way, we've talked about many a times. I've shared my entire journey with you guys here through this bull market, dollar cost averaging in on this weekly money flow crossover into the red, right, which is historically marked the bear market, right, and a good time to dollar cost average in before the next bull, right? My entry price is up here. I was like up over 500% on my Bitcoin. Makes zero sense for me to take profit, to risk it, to even if you go to 200K, right? Like, let's just say, you're up from my entry here about, right, up about 500%. Well, let's bring it down to like 21K, right? So like up almost 500%, right? Is that worth it to just hold onto your whole bag and hope this time is completely different to maybe get an extra 50% gain? Probably not, right? It's not, the risk to reward is not there for me. So it does have a lot to do with where I'm in the market too. So yeah, that is what it is. And if you are in the situation where you were buying on the way up, hopefully if we do go into a bear market, you could take this as a learning opportunity to pay attention during the bear market and not have as much fear if you were scared to buy in at the low and you waited for Bitcoin to be in the news or break new all-time highs to buy in, right? Like this is not too late, right? But it's very late, right? Like you're much better off buying when there's fear. Exchanges are going down. It's zero. Regulation. We're going to 3K. We see the confirmations on the chart. Weekly money flow, bullish divergences. It's time to probably start scooping up some Bitcoin. And again, if you have a long-term mindset, right, like maybe you just pick up on the dips, right? Like maybe you buy a little bit here, right? Maybe you nibble a little bit here. Then you go down for another leg, you nibble a little bit here, right? You go down for another leg, you nibble a little bit here. You're just dollar cost averaging on the way down, and then the next bull market, you'll have a decent entry price. I'm not saying I'm dollar cost averaging in here, but I'm just saying it's like, it depends on your strategy, right? If you have a super long-term scenario, it's like, is this the worst time to buy Bitcoin? I mean, you're buying on red candles, but it's like you try to forecast the continuation of this, downtrend. It's like it's hard for me to want to pick up Bitcoin here. But it's all different. If someone said, oh, I bought a little bit of Bitcoin down here, and they explained to me their plan, they're like, yeah, I know it could go lower, but I'm just buying a little bit, and I'm going to keep doing a weighted dollar cost average. Maybe I put 10% of my bag here. If we go lower, I put 20% of my bag, 30% of my bag, 50% of my bag, right? And they explain like a nice plan. I can't just say like, that's a stupid idea to buy. I mean, price is down, but I don't know. I wouldn't be looking at this as the low before a massive bull market to start. Even if we put in new all-time highs, it's like I just don't really see a situation where we're going to launch into a massive bull market, right? Maybe you put in new all-time highs, but like the bear market ended here and the bull market started. The bull market has been going on almost exactly as they have in the past, right? So there you go. Shout out to Taper. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said BTC has highest bearish pressure on the weekly chart right now on Coinbase chart. Just an observation, trading in zone. Shout out to Taper. Yeah, definitely a lot of bearish pressure. That is for sure. Shout out to Mr. J, said last bear market, Fed started hiking Luna blow up. We don't have those factors right now. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I know what you're talking about with Luna. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by two separate things, right? Fed hiking. Yes, I mean, I think this is why the altcoins had struggled, right? Like in 2021, we had massive money printing like we've never seen before. This is probably why that alt season was absolutely explosive. So yeah, there are things that are different, and we've talked about all these things. It's still a shorter list than the bearish situation, right? I know QT is ending. It doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly when money printing is going to be, and this is why I do entertain the fact that maybe you could put it in an all-time high. Again, lower probability, right? You don't have to take it's definitely 100% the bear market, zero chance of coming up to all-time highs. That is gambling, right? But, if we're going to see something different, those are the factors that you would point to, right? Maybe QT ends, they start printing sooner than later. Could that mean that Bitcoin goes into a much more muted bear market? Sure, and we've talked about that situation all throughout this range. But even then, right, it's like the charts were still bearish. A massive move down was very likely. And even if this isn't going to be a bear market, this bearish pressure was on the charts for quite some time. So even if it isn't a traditional bear market, maybe we just kind of continue down. Again, the charts are just what the charts are. They are bearish. Maybe it doesn't have to be a full-blown bear market, and then they start printing money, and then we come up sooner than later. That could be where it's different. And if they do start printing money aggressively, that would be something that is actually different. But it's a lot harder to speculate on the idea of when exactly that's going to happen, because if you pay attention to any narratives, right, sometimes what can happen is we're going to start printing money now. And then they come up there and they're like, actually, we're not going to print money. And that's like a black swan. Oh my God, they said they were going to print. Now they're not. Bear market. More often than not, it's just, at least for me personally, guys, I say from personal experience, it is just much better, right? There was all the narratives back here in 2021. People all 30K is the bottom, right? It just wasn't on the charts. I couldn't see it. So we call for the bear market to come in. And it's not about making the call, right? It's just pointing out what the charts are pointing to. And it's whatever the narratives were here, Like a lot of people thought, I'll never forget it, right? Like I'm around a lot of full-time crypto people. Like 30K is the bottom. I think it is, man. Like what are the charts saying? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not saying that 30K is the bottom. And then they'll be like, well, what about this narrative? What about this? Whatever it is. It just never really matters. But at the end of the day, if they actually start printing money, that's something that will actually change. But again, we have to see when and if that is going to happen. I think it's going to happen eventually. It has to happen eventually. But it's just like, when is that going to happen? Very hard to bet on. When would you start buying BTC in the bear market next year? Shout out to Legends. It depends. It's like too early for me to say at this point, right? Like for me, I'm chilling, obviously not buying right now. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Because like I think like there's a lot of people that were in on these tops, right? And they're seeing this as like, oh my God, this is like a bear market. Like, should I be, buying? Like, is this where I should buy more, buy the dip? And it's like, I don't know. When you look at the actual long-term cycle, it's like this is where you should be buying. This is typically where you would expect to sell in a 4-year cycle. So it's like it makes no sense for like one pullback like this to be the place to start buying. But like for me personally, I'll tell you what I'll look for. I'll just give it away here. Weekly money flow crossover into the red, which we don't have yet, right? Like maybe this scoots back up. But if that crosses into the red, but if you wait for this money flow to cross over into the red to identify that you're in a bear market, we're probably going to be much lower than this by the time this weekly money flow crosses over, right? Maybe the green dot prints on the weekly. You don't want, getting people getting super excited. Green dot prints, money flow might cook up a little bit, but then if it's a lower high and a lower low, by the time this crosses over, you're going to be much lower, right? So this is the last signal that indicates like, all right, once this money flow crosses into the red, I'll tell you exactly what I did last cycle. We looked at the previous cycles and marked out that, hey, we can clearly see here that the weekly money flow crossover indicates the drop down into the depths of Goblin Town. And that's typically the best place to buy, right? There's your weekly money flow crossover into the red. This is the place to buy the bottom, dollar cost average in, get an equal, an average entry price somewhere down here. Enjoy the bull market. And then all these pullbacks are not scary because you're in massive profit, right? No big deal. We're in a bear market. The halving just happened. Oh, no big deal. No big deal. No big deal. Same thing here. Money flow crosses into the red. Whoops. This is where you want to be dollar cost average, giving you a nice entry price here at the bottom of the bear market before sending it into the bull. Same thing in 2021. I didn't have my channel back then, but here in 2021, what do we look for? Weekly money flow crosses into the red, which is nice that we don't have that, right? You could see here, I don't know. It wasn't that much different. But you can see like the later signal here. You have the 3-day money flow crossover into the red earlier in 2021. Right, 3-day money flow crosses over before the bigger drop. Your 4-day money flow crossover back here before the big drop. But the weekly, you had already gotten, like that 4-day is a much earlier signal that you're going to continue down. By the time that weekly crosses over, you've already come down much lower, right? So, but once that money flow crosses over into the red on the weekly, right, what I like to look for is have money flow crossover. This is letting me know that we're probably going to start a big macro trend to the downside. And once we get the first big drop, right, move that back over to the crossover, right, price starts absolutely capitulating. For me personally, I waited for this first big drop to the downside, and then I started dollar cost averaging somewhere in here. Buy, and then I stopped here. Once we broke above 30K, based off our volume profile and our weekly money flow crossover, right? You have the value area low. We know once we break below this value area low and hold it as support, if money flow is pointed in the right direction, well, we can look for the fulfill this range up into 55K or about 52K. You get back into the range, right? Just a simple volume profile theory here. Deviate below your macro range. Bullish divergences. Once you get back above this level, what's money flow look like? Well, hey, look at that. We have a weekly money flow crossover into the green. This is good for the start of the bull market. Send it through the profile and into new all-time highs. So what I would be looking for this time, right, again, would be the weekly money flow crossover, which I can't tell you exactly when that's going to happen because money flow is not there yet. But whenever it does happen, we will very likely, let's just say price kind of wiggles around. Maybe we get the retracement. We come back down, right? Money flow crosses into the red. You get the big dump. That's where, on the start of that, once that weekly money flow crosses over and you get the first big drop, that's typically where I start to entertaining taking some nibbles at my spot bags. Dollar cost averaging, of course, right? Dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out. You're never going to be able to time the high, guys. This is why you don't want to get greedy. It's going to be very hard to be like, 126K, that's the top. Let me sell my whole bag. A lot of people think they're going to be able to do that, but it's very difficult, right? Even for someone like me. So what do? You dollar cost average, get a nice equal entry price or an average entry price, enjoy the ride up, and then you take profits at your targets, right? We had a target here. We had a target here. And we had targets above as well because we don't know if it's going to continue up. But you got to scale out when you hit those targets, right? You have to set those targets ahead of time. And we'll have those targets next cycle as well. So, yeah, that's what I would look at to start looking to buy into the bear market. Very rarely am I looking to buy the bear market when money flows in the green. Actually, never. Not rarely. March for 56K buy zone. Be ready for generational wealth. Shout out to Bear Market Blues. Couldn't have. Shout out to Bear Market Blues. Super chat. Hang on. Shout out to Jesse. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to take a look at the altcoins real quickly in a second, guys. Shout out to OC2B. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, hi, Frankie. I lost all of my crypto in futures back in October. Good Lord. What approach would you recommend getting back into the market? I make around $3K a month. Shout out to OC2B7. It depends, right? Kind of what I just explained, right? Like for me personally, that's my plan, right? Who knows, guys? Maybe this is the bottom of the bear market and it's going into new all-time highs, and I won't miss the whole cycle, right? Because I am still partially exposed here. But again, right, it's not really what I would look for. I would really just be patient and expect 2026 to be somewhat of a bear market. Wait for that weekly money flow to cross over into the red and give you the capitulation, and then start taking nibbles at those spot bags. But when it comes to long-term spot, right, you want to take the emotion out of it, right? Like, let's say you start buying in here, and then you start pumping. That should create zero emotion when it comes to your long-term spot bags because you have a plan. Weekly money flow is in the red. You get the drop down, you start buying. I don't care that price is pumping, right? Or I'm sorry, you buy in, price pumps, right? And then it starts dumping again. You're like, oh my God, this is bad, right? This would not give me any kind of emotion, right? All I would be doing is continuously buying. What I like to do is if you could find an exchange that offers a DCA bot, just set your amount of money and your amount of money you want to buy every day, week, month, whatever it is. Every time you get a paycheck, every Friday, buy this much Bitcoin in this time period, right? So it's like you buy here. Oh my God, I'm a genius. When it comes back down, you're not like, oh my God, I bought too early, right? You're just buying. You're buying. You're buying. You're pumping, but you're still buying, right? And then when you dump, you get this averages it out, right? And you'll get somewhere in the middle here, right? You'll get some kind of average entry price. You're not going to nail the bottom, right? No world that exists will I ever just be like, I'm waiting, right? I was looking between 12 and 14K, but I wasn't just going to have my order here at 14K, and if it doesn't hit 14K, I'm not going to buy, right? You have to dollar cost average. It's going to be very hard to time that bottom. We got close, right? We ended at 15.5. I was looking between 12 and 14K, but you're never going to nail it perfectly. That's why you want a dollar cost average in, as well as dollar cost average out. So, I would say, if we do go into a bear market, you probably have plenty of time to wait for that weekly money flow crossover and start dollar cost averaging in very slowly. And again, it's like this dump doesn't scare you, right? You're just dollar cost averaging. If we want lower, right, I would have continued to dollar cost average in. And then eventually, when you get massively in profit, again, these dips become less emotional, right? Why am I not freaking out on this? Well, the halving just happened, and I'm massively in profit. I didn't buy up here and go into massive drawdown. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to OC. Shout out to Matthew. Thank you for the super chat. Said thank you for the TA that you do. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for saying that. And shout out to, I'm going to call you Jaco. I don't know how to say your full name, but welcome to the muscle. Thank you for getting that membership. And shout out to Future Millionaire. Says, thank you for the super chat. Says, assuming 126 was the top, where do you see BTC bottoming realistically? Looking at the fib levels. I actually just covered that a couple of minutes ago. It's too hard, like a 70% correction if you get a traditional bear market to play out, probably around about in the low 30s, mid to low 30s. But again, we are going to have other major levels of support here that we can look at, right? We can look at these previous highs. I wouldn't expect this to be the low, obviously, right? We break this low. Again, trend is going to continue to the downside very likely. But you could have, higher levels. It's just too soon to call for that. But traditional bear market, you would be expecting somewhere in the 70s as a full correction. Shout out to Daddy Zach. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, say it louder for the people in the back. Shout out to Daddy Zach, or Altcoin Corey, as we like to call him. Hope you're doing well, bro. I actually got to meet Daddy Zach in real life. Shout out to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. But let's see. All right, let's take a quick look at the altcoins as well. Shout out to Black Mamba Trader. Said, when everyone is super bearish, it can't work. Maybe. I would be more willing to be on that side of it if the charts weren't bearish, right? I always say this. Yes, you can't trade like that, right? Because sometimes the masses are going to be right. So I just don't even, like, the way I look at that, I mean, you definitely have the right idea, right? Like, when everyone's super bearish, right, it's probably a good time to buy the dip, right? That makes sense. I totally get the logic there. But if everybody, why was I looking at this as a pullback before a new all-time high? Why was I looking at this for a pullback before a new all-time high? Sure, the masses were super bearish here. Like, hilariously enough, people were asking me if this was the bear market. And I'm like, dude, the halving just happened. Like, probably not. And the charts were still looking good. But so what do you have here, right? Price is pulling down. Everybody feels super bearish, right? But what happens? You get the push up. Absolutely valid. Same thing here. Absolutely valid to look at it that way. But the charts were in agreement with that, right? The charts were in agreement that we were not bearish, regardless of, the masses were saying the opposite. But the charts were lining up. At the end of the day, if the charts look super bearish and the masses are bearish, at that point, I'm still keeping my sentiment on the side of the charts. It just so happens to agree with what a lot of people feel, right? And I would actually, it's kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, like, we were bearish up here at 108K, right? With all the potential warning signs that we've gone over in the live stream, right? Not a lot of people were feeling that way up here. It's not until you get this drop down, which would make sense, right? Because maybe people are getting super bearish here, and they're going to get caught offside on a retracement, right? Like, so they could still be bearish and wrong, while the longer-term scenario is still ends up being right. But we'll see, right? Maybe the charts don't matter this time. I'm not going with that, but maybe the charts are wrong, and maybe the bull market's just starting. I just think I don't know what the argument there is. Just, again, like, the backbone of that argument is going to be that this time is different, which is just historically every single cycle they say that, guys. It just never mattered. Maybe this is the first time it does. I pray that it is. I'm kind of in a cushy position, guys, because if we do continue up, I'm not fully out of the market. So it's like I still get, at the end of the day, whether we topped out at 126 or we topped out at 137 or 200K, I was already looking at dollar cost averaging out of the market at these levels anyway, right? So it's like, if we continue up, well, hey, we hit that final target. I'll still be taking profit at those same targets. So it's like, if we go up, I'm still slightly exposed. If we go down, I'm happy I've been taking profit along the way. And then the chart sentiment is just what it is based off the chart. But generally, yeah, the masses do get it wrong way more than they get it right. Yes, yeah, shout out to Black Mama, 100%. Yeah, exactly what yes, bearish. But yeah, of course, like, people getting super, oh my God, like at the end of the day, guys, let's just say if you are holding, not you, let's just say I was holding all of my crypto. This is not where I sell. Right? You got to just kind of hold on and hope for a retracement, at least for me personally. Not financial advice. You got to do what you want. But yeah, this is, it wouldn't make a lot of sense that retail is like, oh my God, the dip keeps dipping. That's it. I'm out. But I've made this mistake before where it's like you get that panic, then you panic sell, and then what happens? Even if you are right about a bigger continuation down, it's like you panic sell when you could have gotten a little bit of a retracement up before you finally get the big move down. So shout out to Black Mamba. Yeah, 100%, bro. Shout out to Justin. Says, I don't think there's any more money to print. It's all right. They can take a loan from your boy Frankie Candles. What's first, GTA 6 or alt season? I don't know, man. That's kind of a hard bet to make. I don't know if GTA 6 is ever going to come in or come out. I don't know. I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't really play video games that often. I'm a very casual gamer, especially nowadays. But GTA 6 comes out, I might dedicate some time to GTA 6. I mean, that is going to be that's going to be hopefully a fire game. Better be a fire game with how long they're making everybody wait. But let's go ahead. We'll jump into some of the altcoins, guys. Taking a look at Ethereum. Still just sitting in our key level of support. Let me actually pull it up over here. All right, Ethereum just still sitting here on our key level of support, very similar to the $85,000 to $82,000 zone for Bitcoin. Ethereum pushing into the $2,800 to $2,700 level, 786 daily MPOC. The hope here for some kind of a retracement is to flip that point of control and get some kind of a pushback to the upside. Major resistance, right? Probably going to be $3,500 or $3,530 to be exact. Let's pull our fib from the high to the low here. Could actually mark this off as a little bit of a range. I can't guarantee you're going to go for that full retracement, but if you did, this would be a big level of resistance to be looking at. This sits between about 32.47 and 35.20. So, right, maybe everyone gets super bearish. You do indeed get the bounce, right? And then now they're all thinking, oh my God, I sold the bottom. Why did I do that? Now we're bullish. Let me buy back in. And then you get the rollover, just absolute washing machine, getting caught offsides on both ends of the coin there. And of course, why is that not looking great? Well, number one, we're back inside our volume profile, guys. Like just at face value here, get back into the range, can't get back out. The next high probability area for price to go eventually. It can be a confusing journey. You can get the retracements, you can bing bong around, but eventually you are going to look to work your way down to that POC, lose the POC, and potentially fill to the value area low. Is money flow pointing in that direction? Well, the volume profile would be saying that we're, accepted back into this profile, which is not great. And money flow is also pointing in the right direction. But again, back to the retracement, look at this VWAP, right? 3-day VWAP coming up. If we can print some of these higher daily time frame green dots, you could get the retracement, right? Not getting bearish at support, right? When I show this bearish case, it is taking into account that you can see big retracements, right? It's the overall trend we're talking about. Of course, there's going to be bounces along the way. So yeah, if we lose this 786, well, we're probably going to be looking at the next big target, which is big level is going to be the POC sitting at 23.47. You have a daily MPOC just above it and just below it. And I'll be honest, right? Like when you look at this Fibonacci retracement, which is pulled from this low to the high, if you can't get a higher low on the 786 and you lose this, probably looking to take out this low, which would line up with coming down to the POC and eventually working down to your value area low. Not saying you have to come down there right now, and I'm definitely not saying it's guaranteed, but definitely the higher probability scenario. It wouldn't be until, at this point, right, first major level of, let's talk about going higher when we break out of this value area at 35.30. Until then, right, you're just within your profile. You can bing bong around on your way to the POC and the value area low. 35.30 is the big level to get above for me to start feeling a little bit better about Ethereum. Not new all-time highs necessarily, but there's no reason to be looking up here when you're still in your profile that has a high probability of filling. Right? Just look at it in the past. Come up, back in, can't get back out. At this point, there's a higher probability that you're going to get a move to your POC and eventually your value area low. Money flow was also in the red. You even got a little fake out into the green here, but you just come right back into the red and you fill the range in full. Perfect example of people getting bearish at the absolute worst time. It was down here. Ethereum's dead. It's never going back up. It's expensive. It sucks. I hate it. And it's literally the tick bottom. But that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. Money flow all looks the same as Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at Solana. Right, Solana playing around still with its value area low of the range. We're kind of just still hanging out here with our value area low. We have come down to the next local levels, which is the daily, right? We talked about this, I believe, was it yesterday or were we down here yesterday? What was yesterday? Yesterday was the 20th. Yeah, like as we were bouncing around here, it's like, you hit the 786, right? But you're front running all this other support, right? And you have not filled the range in full. We've now tapped into that value area low. This is support. If you can reclaim the 786, maybe we can get some kind of a retracement. I'll just give you a simple big level to look at. Is going to be 145.64 at the POC. Of course, you're going to have local levels in between, but we could pull up those local levels until we're blue in the face. This is going to be the biggest level. If you can get a retracement back above the POC and flip that, then we can start looking higher. But until then, that's the big level, 145.64. Let's take a look at the daily. Yeah, daily red dot printing. 90-minute money flow been in the red. So, yeah, I mean, again, just like all these other bounces that we've seen, it's like, maybe you get the retracement, but I'm just, there's nothing on this chart, right? Like, look at your 2-day money flow just starting to cross over into the red. This means it could just be getting started, right? 3-day money flow crossover into the red means it could just be getting started. That doesn't mean that if you bounce tomorrow, it's like, oh my God, the money flow is wrong, right? The money flow indicates the overall trend. These green dots, which looks like it might want to print here on the 3-day, indicate the ebbs and flows, right? Green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Money flow indicates the trend, right? So green dot could do something like this, but money flow would definitely be pointing towards the trend continuing down. And the next biggest levels to look at is 145.64. Once we get above that, we can start talking about some higher levels. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. Shout out to Hioni. Says, you're the best, Frankie. Shout out to Hioni. You're the best, bro. Not me. No, you. Let's see. Shout out to, man, these names are brutal. 522 it says, you upping your leverage / size now that more USDT. I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means. TradingView Black Friday sale. Shout out to Jose. Yeah, TradingView has all the Black Friday sales. Actually, also our Black Friday sales, guys, for the premium Discord is now live. If you guys are interested in getting the premium Discord, not a signals group, maybe I'll walk you guys through what we do in the Discord. I give my personal trade setups with the confirmations that I like to look for to enter. We have live streams twice a week. It's very educational. I teach you guys all my strategies, exactly what I look for to enter. You get daily analysis, and of course my spoon-fed trade setups. But it's not a signals group. I'm not going to tell you where to buy. I'm not going to say buy here and sell at this price, right? I give you the key levels. I show you my plan, and you could follow along real time. Low-key caught almost every single short, or all the setups. We have caught the shorts on any significant retracement on this move to the downside. I just missed the last entry, unfortunately, and I now have to live with that, unfortunately. But, yeah, we got the Black Friday sale on the Discord. Market Cypher. You can come to FrankieCandlesTrading.com for all this. Market Cypher with a massive sale. Lux Algo with a massive sale. And we also have the NordVPN. But whether you're using our links or not, guys, Black Friday is the best time to upgrade your trading tools. It's like the biggest sale of the year in this industry, like many. And the sales are huge, right? You can go to TradingView.com to check out the TradingView sales. So if you've been holding out trying to get any of this paid stuff, guys, there is no better sale. Every year, Black Friday is the biggest discount you could possibly get, whether you use our links or not. Let's see. Shout out to Perry, said TradingView is more expensive now than it has been in the past. What the heck? Shout out to Jesse. Got my new TradingView started yesterday. Let's go. Shout out to Jesse. Black Friday sale. Yeah, and the Black Friday sale, guys, is crypto-wide. All right, let's see. Just got Market Cypher 70% off. Let's go, baby. Enjoy that money flow. Enjoy that money flow. All right, let's take a quick look. I see a few people asking for Chainlink. Let's take a look. So, yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest, guys, I'm not going to spend a ton of time here on the altcoin just because, obviously, everything looks the same. If Bitcoin bounces, that's what you're hoping for these retracements on the altcoins as well. Like daily red dot. I mean, you're at support, right? I'm not going to pay too much attention to Market Cypher here because, of course, like a lot of these time frames on money flow are very similar. Like a 6-day money flow crossover is not necessarily what you want to see for a massive move up. Now, these money flow crossovers on altcoins are slightly different than Bitcoin because they do oscillate a little bit more. But again, it has a lot to do with the timing of the cycles. But we are at support here, right? We have this massive volume profile, value area high at 2051, POC sitting at 1440, and then you have your value area low here at 1110. So when we look at these MPOCs down below, we have tapped into our weekly and our daily MPOC, which is kind of the start of that zone. So you are definitely at support. You have high time frame VWAPs coming up. So, again, you're at support. Can we get the bounce? I do think there is a plausible case here for the bounce. But again, like for this to be a massive long-term, massive new all-time high situation, it's like I just don't have a lot to call for here on the higher time frames, right? Money flow crossover into the red, right? Last money flow crossover into the red on the 5-day did give you the lower high and the lower low. Even back here, lower high, yeah, you kind of just bogged out there. But again, totally different point in the cycle. So not all signals are created equal based off context. But at the end of the day, you're at support here, right? This support does run all the way down into the daily at about 1088. So if you could hold on top of this value area low, maybe we can get a bit of a retracement into our POC of the range, which sits right here at about 1431. Now, again, there's no guarantee you have to get that full push into the POC, but that would be the next major level to look at if you get some kind of sizable bounce up, right? POC, 1431. Once you flip that, you could start looking at some higher prices. But again, right, like that would be a 20% bump to the upside. So we'll cross, the higher levels when we get there. But that would be the next big key level. But you're at the value area low, right? This is not typically where we start to get super, super bearish looking for shorts, right? And again, Doesn't mean you can't be bearish longer term, right? But it's just not necessarily like, again, you've had this massive drop to the downside, and I'm not saying it can't continue, but it's like, for me, I would have to be short from like one of these highs, right? Otherwise, it's like, now we're at support. Why would I just be looking to short right into support? Even if it comes back down, it's like you could get the bounce off these lower support levels. So just to be clear, you don't want to get bearish at support. But overall, the sentiment is not looking great. So yeah, that would be the range that I am looking at right now. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. Yeah, it's like you have the 4 hour money flow attempting to come back up here. But the problem with that is just like you don't have any bullish divergences, right? So it's looking weak, if I'm being honest. So if I had a nice 4 hour bull div with money flow coming up aggressively, that would look really nice. But we just don't have it. 3-day money flow, 3-day bull div, no 3 hour bull divs, no 2 hour bull divs. Like even this, like this isn't really, it's a slight bullish divergence down here on the 1 hour. But again, right, like you got that major POC at 1431. Right? That's kind of the highest I'd be willing to look at this point, right? There's no reason to be like, oh, we're going to go up to the value area high when you have all that resistance ahead of you, especially that big POC. So that's what I would be looking at on Chainlink. So yeah, we'll see. Just kind of chopping around here at the lows. Let me actually check this 30-minute. The one thing I will be looking at here, at least on Bitcoin, guys, is if we are going to continue up, the thing I would look for here is on the 30-minute. 30-minute money flow coming up, looking to cross over into the green. This could line up with an 8-hour green dot, which is now printing. We looked at this on the premium live stream earlier today. Green dot now printing on the 8-hour with your 30-minute money flow crossover. This could be a good thing to look at if that 30-minute money flow crosses green with that 8-hour green dot. That is a market cipher B 1/16 bullish setup and could indicate that the trend based off the 30-minute is going to continue to the upside, right? Also giving you an idea that you could get a little bit of relief here at the support level. So that would be exactly what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can get that 30-minute money flow crossover. Check the 24-minute. It's trying. 15-minute crossing into the green. So that's what I would look for. Active potential 30-minute 8-hour market cipher B strategy. Watch for that money flow crossover. When this happens at the same time as an 8-hour green dot, sometimes you can get a significant move to the upside. I'm just going to come to that last significant 30-minute money flow crossover, and we'll see if this was in line with an 8-hour. I don't know if it was, but let's see. Chances are not quite. It was actually almost a fake out, right? You almost got the red dot and a green dot, but didn't line up. But more often than not, that's what we like to look for, right? I could try to find an example of this playing out on the bearish end of things, right? Here's your, recently we had our 15-minute money flow crossing into the red here. This was back on Thursday, last Thursday, or yesterday, I'm sorry. 15-minute money flow crossover into the red. 4-hour red dot prints. You would look at that 15-minute money flow crossover to continue your downtrend. So you do have that confluence. So let's see if we can get that 30-minute money flow crossover. Come on, baby. Come on. It even just curved up slightly. I don't know if you could tell that. It just curved up slightly there locally. So we'll see. Good evening. Shout out to Pop-Up Gorilla. Welcome in, brother. New day, new pump. Shout out to Frenchie. Let's see here. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, so let's go. I'm going to jump into a couple of more altcoins here, guys. Let's take a look at Zcash. Took a look at this yesterday, I believe. Yeah, so back below these retracements. Not really much to say here, right? Like your next big level of support is going to be sitting between 403.35 and 305.52. All right, if we get the bigger correction, this will be the big level to look at. You have your anchored VWAP from the low. You have the golden pocket, the 786. So maybe you get a little bit of a bounce there. If we wind up losing that 786, you're coming down to this value area high. Once you get accepted below that value area high with money flow coming out, 16-hour attempting to come out, daily looking like it might want to roll over. But eventually, if we get accepted below 238.61 at this value area high, that could indicate that you are going to get the bigger drop through the profile. But you're still pretty far away from that. We're just still playing around with these Fibonacci extension zones. This thing has been holding up pretty well considering everything else. But yeah, if we break down below that extension level, looking to here between 407.49 and 307.38. So there you go. Yeah, Zcash is holding strong. Yeah, for sure. Can't argue that. Shout out to Ether Eagle says, I wanted an alt season. Shout out to Ether. Me too, brother. Me too. I was certain my COQ was going to go to the moon. Dash, yeah, we could take a look at Dash. DoorDash. If I could find our Dash chart here, I do believe we have one. Do we not have one? Bear with me here, guys. That's the... Maybe we'll have to make a new Dash chart. See where that... where we have the most price history. Mexi usually does pretty good. Not in this case. All right, so what is this? That's 2020. That's enough. All right, so... Actually, you know what I want to do? Is Coinbase have decent history? Okay, yeah, because I don't want that wick. So we'll take a look at it from this perspective. I could have sworn. Give me 1 second, guys, because if I could not do all that TA again, that would be super helpful. Dang, man. We just do not. Did I delete the chart? That is super annoying. But yeah, let's take a look at this, right? So here's your bear market range, which is crazy. But let me actually pull it to before the breakout there. All right, so here's your massive value areas. Upper value, I might have to adjust that slightly. There's your upper value. Here is your bear market value. All right, we've obviously impulsed out of there. As we talk about many times, auction market theory, if you impulse out of one value area, price is going to seek out the fairest value above, in this case. Where is the fairest value? Well, obviously, this is fair value, but the fairest value is going to be the POC of that range. You can see that is literally the level that we tagged, close below that value area low there on the 5-day, and then we get the drop back down. So you're now stuck between these two value areas. So there's your value area number 1. So yeah, unfortunately, we were unable to break through here. This is always going to be resistance until proven otherwise, right? But if we were able to flip this POC value area low, that would open up the door to potentially get the bigger move into your value area high. But of course, we did get rejected from that POC value area low. So I'm actually going to mark this out as key resistance. All right, so the POC at about 136.10 or 135.32 is really the level to flip in order to call for higher prices. Until then, that is massive resistance. And now you're just sitting between these two profiles. So your biggest level of support here on Dash is going to be, let me pull it to the low here. We've lost the golden pocket at this point. So unless you can reclaim 67.98, I would consider this level lost. So I'll take it off. Your next confluent area is going to be the 786 value area high confluence. Right here. If we come down there, you're hoping, I mean, if you're, again, it's hard for me to say, right? Like your 5-day money flow looks really good, right? This is what you would want to see for a big move up, right? Like, just like we say on Bitcoin, right? Like, it's like, we have the opposite happening on Bitcoin, right? And almost every other altcoin. You have massive money flow waves crossing into the red. That is not bullish. This, like I said, right, I don't just say bearish things to be bearish. This looks good, right? Now, I would approach that with a little bit of caution because, like, if the rest of the market dumps, right, like this could just be looking good because we've gotten that big move up. But at face value, this money flow just crossed over into the green on the 5-day. 6-day money flow just crossed over into the green. 4-day just crossed over into the green. 3 days in the green, right? So, I mean, that 5-day doesn't look super bad in my opinion. But at the end of the day, if you want to continue this uptrend, I would say this is the biggest level to hold. Make it a little bit of a zone between 47.19 and 44.45. You would be hoping, right, for a retest of the 786 value area high for a higher low and eventually a flip of that POC for a higher high. That's arguable, right? And I can say there is something on the chart pointing towards that. Now, I don't love that the rest of the market is just going completely against this. This is one of the very, very few things that look like this. But at the end of the day, face value, that is there. I would just be very cautious with the way the rest of the market looks like and how bearish Bitcoin looks. Long term, right? Not if we get a bounce over the weekend, that doesn't mean we're not bearish, right? But That would be the bullish case, right? If you get accepted below this value area high, well, that's probably much more likely that you're going to get accepted into your profile. Maybe that money flow fakes out and you get the bigger drop through your profile, right? So this is your doorway to lower prices. If you can't hold this value area high 786 at 45.80, well, we could look to come deeper down into this range, right? And you do have the 786 confluence there as well. So that's your doorway to lower prices. Go ahead and mark that out real quick. Doorway to lower prices. And then your doorway to higher prices is the POC at 135.32. So hopefully this money flow continues to play out. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the rest of the market dumps and this thing just keeps cooking. It's very hard to say. But, you know, I could say that money flow does look good. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily money flow even, like, still cooking up here. Yeah, 16-hour coming out. 12-hour coming out. So, yeah, I would say this is your next big key level of support. So 45.80. And then your bigger doorway to higher prices, 135.32. But I would say, like, even that 12-hour not looking, you know, would make sense if you get the continuation down there. But long-term, 5-day, can't say that really looks that bearish, right? Because it just is what it is. Whereas if you take a look at Bitcoin, literally the opposite. Do you see the difference there? Right? I can't say this money flow looks bearish. I just can't because it doesn't. This is objective. Now, I can argue that maybe the rest of the market drags it down, but at face value, this looks bullish. Bitcoin is the opposite. So that's why I can't say that we have massive bullish signs here on Bitcoin. And the 6-day, obviously the same thing. Crossover into the green. Look at Bitcoin. Literally coming out. So, all right, let's see. What is that indicator for money flow with that green dot and red dots? I'm new at crypto, only here since April. Shout out to Fabio. This is a Market Cipher B. Just Market Cipher. So there you go. Simple answer to the question. Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on? Dash is an elite alt. It has outperformed BTC all year. One of the 12. Yeah, shout out to Dave Digital. Definitely doing well as of right now. 20K would be a dream. Shout out to Floki. It's a little lower than I would be looking at in a bear market, but nothing's impossible here. And hopefully Bitcoin can just get its wings here, guys. But again, support. Let's see if we can get the bounce. Do we get the 30-minute money flow crossover? Come on. She looks like she wants to go, if I'm being honest. Get that 30-minute money flow crossover. This is the thing to look at. This is the thing to watch. 30-minute comes up. You got the 8-hour green dot. That could indicate a continuation. I covered all the local levels in the beginning of the stream, so if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream and check out those local targets. Shout out to Black Mama, said crypto is TA and patience. Yes, this is one thing that a lot of people, especially when they first get into trading, they can't get the patience down, right? There is patience, right? And I have to practice that patience as well. I'm not separate from anybody else. So yeah, you got to have the patience, right? A lot of people will be like, what do the lower time frames look like? And the first thing I think of when people say that is like, they just want to get into a trade right now. So it's like, that's why I try to, manage the expectations for the bounces, right? People will be like, but like, what do the lower time frames look here? Like, are we having any like bullish divergences or anything? Like, what does it look like? Could we bounce? And it's like, yeah, like maybe you have the bullish divergences for a bounce, but like, it doesn't mean that's like the best long to take. And now if you view it from a lower time frame and you're saying like, hey, I'm going to take the long here. I have my local targets and I'm in and out. That's fine. But a lot of people, when they first start getting into trading, they're like, what's the 5 minute say? I want to get into a trade. Like, where's the trade that I can take in the next 10 minutes? And it's like, trading is a game of trapping, not a game of hunting. You want to set the key levels. I'll do it again. I do it every day. Set the key levels, preferably a level of confluence, and you want to be patient for the levels to get hit. So let's say you're looking for a short and you get a pullback here, right? Like people might see like 1 minute confirmations to take a short here, and hey, like chances are you'll probably come down a little bit. But for the big moves, for the nice trades, for the big boys, you want to wait patiently. You get another pullback. Oh my God, but I'm going to admit patience. More often than not, you will come into those levels. And then if you get those confirmations at those levels, and only if you get those confirmations, that is typically where the big moves happen. Take yesterday, for example. Was it yesterday? Right. Front running the 786. You get the bounce, right? And it's like, well, why do I not expect that, right? Oh my God, long it. Absolutely cooked. Well, I wouldn't long this, right? Unless I was looking for a scalp, again, for like a local retracement into a key level, get in and out. But what am I going to more often than not do? I'm going to see this push down. Oh, my God, we got so close to my key level. Now we're bouncing. I'm going to miss it. We're going to front run it. Very unlikely you front run major level like that, 786, or especially with all the confluence we had down here. So what do we look for? We look for the front run, a lower high, and a continuation deeper into the level. And that's what you get. And then that's where the big level of support is, all the confluence for a higher probability push to the upside, hopefully. It's not always going to play out, but more often than not, right? Like, you don't want to rush into those positions. It's the same thing on the last short setup that we had in the premium Discord. We had our major level of resistance. We were even looking at the resistance on the live stream, right, between about 108.3 and the golden pocket that was sitting right down here. So here is our zone, right? This was our zone of resistance. But we push up on that first approach. We don't really have the confirmations. I'm going to simply wait. We had a front ran anchored VWAP up here. We had a front ran MPOC up here, a front ran value area low. Those are the confluent levels of resistance. What happens, right? You're probably going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to miss the trade. I'm going to miss the trade, but I have the low time frame confirmation. Soon enough, you come up and hit the levels, and then you get the big drop to the downside, right? So patience is huge. And I think it's a lot of people, right? If you're going to start getting into trading and you're just starting to learn, focus on the patience, right? It doesn't matter if you miss this long. It doesn't matter if you miss this short. If it's not at a key level with an actual setup, there's no reason to take the trade, right? I could even have a bias, right, of, hey, I think we're going to dump from here, just for a random example. If I think I'm going to dump from here, if I don't have an actual setup or key levels, I might just not take the short there. Let's say I have a ton of confluence down here, right? This is my major key level. I might say, hey, I'm going to wait for this key level to get tapped. I might have local confirmations for a drop down here, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best trade, right? You might just have to sit on your hands, right? Maybe you don't have the confirmations here, but you're expecting a continuation down. It doesn't mean you have to short that move down. If the setup and the confluence and the confirmations you're looking for are going to set up down here, you just sit on it's okay if you miss this move down. You can't be greedy. You don't want to try to catch every single move up and down. That's how you're going to get caught chopping around. Long it. Oh my God. Or, oh my God, we're going down. Let me short it. Right? Oh, wait, no, never mind. We're going up. Let me long it. Oh, wait, never mind. We're going down. Let me short it. Oh, never mind. Let me long it. Oh, wait, never mind. That's how you get caught on the opposite end of the trade. If you've ever been trading and you found yourself like every time I long it goes down, every time I short it goes up, you probably have no plan. You probably have no key levels. You probably don't know what confirmations. You have no plan, right? So like for me personally, it's like, sure, you can try to catch a short, you could try to catch a long, but like at the end of the day, if I think price is coming down here, it doesn't mean I have to short it. It doesn't mean that's a good short setup. I might just want to sit on my hands, wait for the push down into my key levels, and wait for those confirmations. And more often than not, you're going to have a much easier time trading when you're doing that, rather than going down to the 5 minute every 2 seconds, seeing what you think is a really strong bounce, and then trying to long it, not understanding that the higher time frames and key levels have not been hit, right? And again, more often than not, you will get those to get tapped, just like we looked at yesterday. So anyway, but we'll see what happens here, guys. We'll see if we can get that 30-minute money flow crossover. That's the thing to look at for the potential continuation up. And we got some giveaways to do here, guys. We got some giveaways to do. Smash those likes. That looks like a bearish rising wedge. Yeah, I see it. Of course. Yeah, something like that. Definitely possible. Your money flow is coming up, of course, but I don't trade patterns, but I mean, I would, definitely looks like a rising wedge to me. But when I trade patterns, right, what do I want to see? If I had a rising wedge like this, right, however you want to draw it, and I had money flow in the green about to cross into the red, it doesn't mean that this can't break down. But like, if I don't have the confirmation or the confluence, right, I'm never really looking for a short here, fading that money flow. And again, like maybe it's just a no trade, right? It doesn't mean I'm gonna long it necessarily, right? But it might just be like a no trade zone. Maybe it breaks out, maybe it breaks down. You don't have to catch every single move. As a matter of fact, if you try to catch every single move, I promise it's the fastest way to blow up your account. You have to be patient. Sometimes you have to wait weeks for a level to get hit. Sometimes you have to wait days. So don't chase the money. If you chase the money, the money will run from you. And you're going to be chasing it. This is you chasing the money. Whee! No, get back over here. Get back over here. Except you're losing money every time it takes a step forward. So there you go. Hopefully it helps somebody out. All right, let's see. Slow mode is on. For the giveaways. Shout out to Tony D. Awesome stream. Shout out to Nadeem. I appreciate you, brother. Welcome in. I hope you win a giveaway. We're rooting for you, Nadeem. I'm always in slow mode. Yo, shout out to Wick589. I'm usually in slow mode on Fridays. Guys, we've had like couple months ago, there were a couple streams where I couldn't talk straight. I don't know what happened. I must have not slept well that week. But I was super slow that week. That money drawing looked like SpongeBob money. Yo, anybody been breaking the SpongeBob trading card packs? I low-key want to buy a bunch of those. I have really bad luck, though, so I probably wouldn't hit anything. But, yeah, SpongeBob money. You're actually absolutely 100% right. Should we draw a SpongeBob? While we wait for Tony to call the giveaways? Is it embarrassing that I know how to draw a SpongeBob like this? I've actually never drawn a SpongeBob before, guys. Not bad. Not bad. I'm ready. Should we get super detailed here? This is the overly bullish SpongeBob pattern, guys. I'm not going to draw all the holes. Appreciate you, Frankie. Shout out to Moshe. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being here. You don't got to thank me. I'm just up here doing what I love, even if price is going in the direction I don't want it to go. There we go. USDT winners. We got Chrome Chameleon, Silent Q, Mortimer Duke. Shout out to Mortimer. Let's go. Zarbar. Erica. Shout out to Erica CandleMafia chick. Shout out to Erica. You deserve this. You've been here for quite some time, and you're an elite CandleMafia member. Musha, let's go. It's happening. Mikey and WOC. They are pinned to the top of the chat, guys. If you see your name there in the top pinned chat, you did win some free USDT. Go to the free Discord, link in the description down below, and go to the Help Center to claim your free money. Shout out to Erica. Oh, my God, I actually won. Shout out to Erica. Let's go. Chart art has to be a segment. Shout out to Tony D. Yeah, maybe we should start doing some chart art. We should start doing some more chart art. We used to do it a lot. Not a bad SpongeBob, right? I'm not an artist, guys. I'm a trader. I'm not an artist. That's about the extent of my art here, guys. I don't even, not an artist. I don't even, I definitely don't sit here on the charts and practice drawing. I swear I don't do that. I promise I don't do that. That would be such a nerdy thing to do. Anyway, congratulations to the winner. Shout out to Crypto Paisa. Frankie, blow on the chart to push the candles up. Come on. We could pull some magnets. This is our trick. This has a total of a 0% win rate, guys. So keep that in mind. But if we put some magnets up here, we might be able to suck price back up. Come on. We'll move our chart art. Because I'm definitely not saving this later to add to the scene, guys. I swear. There we go. 0% win rate, but that doesn't mean we're not going to stop trying. Come on. Hopefully the magnets can suck it up, guys. But for real, if you want real analysis, just scroll back to the beginning of the stream, guys. We've been live here for an hour and almost 45 minutes. But, guys, that's all the time we got for today's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Try to stay strong in these times and look for that 30-minute money flow crossover. If we get it, we have a chance of getting that retracement to the upside. Again, we covered all those key levels, local targets, macro targets, and overall thought process here on the long term for Bitcoin in the beginning of the stream. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Don't text and drive. Don't drink and drive. I want to see everybody back here next week. And that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'm definitely not going to go try and continue to add to the scene on SpongeBob because that's a nerdy thing to do, guys. I'm not a nerd. I will not do that. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not a nerd. But anyway, with all that being said, that's all the time we got for today's live stream. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to Tony. He was the first person I saw. Shout out to Gen Z. Shout out to Crypto Hollywood. Shout out to Erica. Congratulations to all the winners. I'll see you guys next week. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Tony, delete the live stream. Delete the live stream. Guys, it wasn't, I gotta go. Asta pasta, Frankie Candles out. Ping pong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the